and welcome back to another episode of the History of Fan Anime. I'm your host, William Chow, and in today's episode, it's kind of a little bit of a fun episode, but I'm going to kind of break it up into two parts again. The episode is basically what do you do when you finish playing the game and you going to search around and try to find a new game. So what I'm talking about is when you find playing a large long game, for example, I played a large amount of time was invested into Dead or Alive beach volleyball. I put over 500 hours into that one, but I finally managed to put all the swimsuits onto like 3 of the girls, and then that's sort of when I decided that'd be a good landmark to stop the game. So, but I'm not talking about the DOA today. Today I'm talking about Pokemon Go. So finally, I've got up to 378 Pokemon. So that's all of Generation 1, 2, and 3. At least as far as number 3 is completed, because at this time Generation 3 has 8 missing slots, and Generation 1 still has 1 missing slot. But I have now completed all 1, 2, and 3, and I've hit level 40. So, it's one of those types of where you've done all the things you need to do, So, for example, if you're playing like your RPG game and you've sort of, maxed out the level at 99, and you've sort of, done all the quests, and you've got all the stuff that, that you're supposed to fill up your inventory with, then you kind of go, well, you can still wander around the world and try to find these little things and, keep trying to roll experience points, even though you can't really gain any more levels with it. So what can you do? So I decided, okay, well, what I'm going to do is I'm going to start looking for another game that I can get into. And I thought, okay, well, I could maybe go into like, Langrisa Reincarnated, and I can, replay that one again. But then, so I'm searching around, and I come across a game that sort of always interested me. With a nickname like King of Smut 95, why not look into the King of Fighters franchise? And then, sure enough, they have released something called King of Fighters Destiny. So I downloaded that one, and so now I'm gonna playing this one. And this one's a really interesting game, because this one is not just a straight fighting game like King of Fighters, where it's just 3 guys plus a striker or whatever against another 3 guys with a striker. They've basically built a small little RPG game into the game. So if you can imagine something like Streets of Rage or something, where it's like multiple different levels of depth, as well as introducing the fighting moves into the game, so that you can play those in the scenario as well. So you can kind of, if you can think of Streets of Rage or whatever, you have your standard punch, your kick, and then you get that kind of your super move, and that's all you can do. But now, can you imagine in this game, if you're playing Terry Bogard, you can again do your punch, your kick, but you can also then at any time, chain, power gazer and crack shoot and all this stuff all together into into a combo, so you can combo and juggle your guys as you're going along. And of course, this game, you're going along, unlocking parts of the story. So it's quite interesting how to make it. Now, the other thing that I want to kind of get into about this is that the strangeness of how this game came out, because you always think King of Fighters and Samurai Showdown and all that stuff is always related to SNK, right? And you always think, well, okay, there's always a good tie to the animation or the manga and that kind of stuff, and they have a pre-drawn story on how the characters and that kind of stuff interact, and that's why you're trying to play the game, is to basically fulfill out the story, But the interesting thing about this game and this thing and the story lineage is it's not actually developed in Japan. It's actually made by a company called Tencent, okay, which is a Chinese company which is known for making the messaging program QQ. So again, these people, if you think back a bit, back in the good old days of ICQ and MSN and whatnot, QQ is the Chinese version of that kind of system. But now, of course, with all the extra upgrades that they've done, now you can do calling and video chatting and and whatnot. But now, as well as that, they've now integrated this King of Fighters into, I guess ICQ-ish or their 2Q system as well, because again you can get cards and that kind of stuff, which you can then post to the messaging system saying that, hey, I'm playing King of Fighters Destiny and I just unlocked the Joe Higashi card, and here it is, whatever. So so that's one of those little things that I'm just recently started playing again. The other neat thing that I'm going to mention about it, and I'm going to bring it into full fold in the next episode, because I don't want to pull all the stuff into one episode, because then it'll drag the episode too long. So the interesting thing is that you would think large companies like Capcom and SNK and that kind of stuff, once they've got like a hit of a show, or like a hit of a game, you'd put a show to kind of help promote it. For example, the SNK made Fatal Fury, and then they made like basically two OVAs and an OVA movie for that. Okay, so that's great. They made Art of Fighting, and they made a two OVA set for Art of Fighting. Of course, Capcom made Street Fighter, and they made Darkstalkers. So they made OVAs for Darkstalkers. They made for Street Fighter. They made the Street Fighter 2 V series. They made the Street Fighter movie. So basically, they capitalized on this thing. But strange enough, SNK did nothing for King of Fighters. There is no quote anime for King of Fighters until recently, when the Chinese collaborated with, of course, SNK to make the CG animated King of Fighters Destiny, which again, this is what that app is based off. So you're basically unlocking the story of the episodes that you see in the game, but they've added more quote fighting gameplay with it. Again, it is Streets of Rage-ish kind of style, multi-level with fighting moves also built into it. Okay, so that's sort of your kind of your best of both worlds kind of together, right? But that's one of the strange things that they didn't do. They didn't make an anime. For that matter, they really didn't even make a real manga for the King of Fighters franchise. Now, I know what you're thinking. There is this King of Fighters Kyo, which is true. That King of Fighters Kyo is made out. Is one of the one of those ones that they've made, which is a side story for King of Fighters, which is again focusing on the character Kyo Kusanagi. Okay, so that's fine. I'll get more into that later, because I don't want to load this episode full of that. But I'll bring in the examples of that. But again, why so largely popular in China is that one of the things that they did do is they made a lot of mangas and that kind of stuff, to forward the story for things like Street Fighter and for things like King of Fighters. Okay. Now I'm not going to do it in this episode, but I'll bring it in a future episode where I'm going to bring in the lineage and the story of things like Street Fighter and the King of Fighters, and basically a little bit of history of an artist named Andy Sito. Okay. So you may, if you want to start Googling that, and you can get a little bit of pre-thought of what that is. I'll bring in some classic stuff for that, and basically show you how that story kind of came along, and some of the artwork that you see in this game, for example, and see in the anime. You'll realize that yes, it's Japanese dialogue and it's dubbed in Japanese, but it's manufactured in China. And you can tell by the art style, it's not exactly Japanese animation style, because the way the eyes are drawn, the way the hair is rendered, and that kind of stuff. It's more of the Japanese style. Sorry, not Japanese style, but it's more of the Chinese style, which you see in a lot of the Dynasty fighting type of shows, and things like Dragon Ball is another one that prolifically shows up in. But yes. You'll see the difference when I show you the mangas and that kind of stuff in the next episodes. Okay, so I'll keep the surprise up for that episode. So I'll stop there. I just wanted to go over a bit, basically that feeling that you get when you stop finishing a game because you finished it, right? And there's that level of satisfaction that I've brought this game to completion. I've done what you need to do in the game to get all the the trophies and that kind of stuff and come up to a part of completion. And then you go, well, damn, now I need something else to play, and then the quest goes on for you. So if you've got something that you've done that just recently, by all means, put it in the comments below, and let people know maybe some other games that you might be interested in trying, since now that you've completed the one that you've spent a long time playing. All right? Okay. The other thing you want to do is you want to hit subscribe and you want to like, because again, there's more to this episode about the history of King of Fighters, and I'm going to bring in some obviously very collectible stuff that even I've gone over to some other websites like the King of Fighters Authority and that kind of stuff, and they don't even have this manga that I'm going to bring out to show you guys. So definitely collectors type of things, and I'm going to bring back the lineage a little bit more, just so to help you fill in this little what has happened and some of the history of this, because this stuff is not exactly very easy to find nowadays. So you want to hit subscribe and you like, and you'll get those episodes as soon as I make those ones in the next little bit. Okay? So until then, see you again.